Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. I hope all of you are fine and doing well. So the topic here we will discuss today, it is the simple process of electroplating in which the tin, chromium and copper is to be electroplated over the surface of the other metals. So first of all, you guys must know that what does mean by the electroplating. Basically, electroplating, it is the process of electrolytic cell in which the one metal is get deposited on another metal, and that just takes place by the use of the specific type of electrolytic cell, and that electrolytic cell consists of mainly anode and cathode. And at anode the process of oxidation takes place, and at cathode the process of reduction takes place. Overall, the process is basically known as the redox reaction. So how does the tin, chromium and copper to be electroplated over the surface of the other? For this, we have the first one example, which is the tin electroplating. Tin electroplating is also basically known as the stainless electroplating. In this part is working as a tin, and this part is basically working as a steel. So the steel is to be electroplated with the tin. So tin, it will works as anode, and the steel or the silver, it will works as cathode. Now, at anode, the process of oxidation will take place. The electrons will move from anode towards the cathode, and the tin comes in the solution in the form of Sn positive 2 by losing the electrons, and that silver, which is present or working as a cathode, the tin will towards the steel, and it gains the electron and get deposited on the surface of the steel. So this is basically known as the tin electroplating. Now what is the chemical reaction that takes place as a result of tin electroplating? The first reaction will take place at anode. The one thing you guys must remember that the electrolyte we are using as stainless sulfate. So at anode, the tin undergoes the process of oxidation and carries the charge positive 2, and here we have this process. And on the other hand, at cathode, the tin which is present the positive 2, it gains the electron and started to deposit on the surface of the steel, and it undergoes the process of reduction. So these two processes will take place simultaneously, which is oxidation and reduction, and overall this is a redox reaction. And the electrolyte also dissociated into its ions as SnSO4, it is stainless sulfate, comes into solution Sn positive 2 plus sulfate as minus 2. So this is a simple process of tin electroplating. After the tin electroplating, we have the process of chromium electroplating. In chromium electroplating, basically the alloys that we need to give them some type of the visual appeals, and also to protect them from the corrosion, they get electroplated with the chromium, and there is a hard chromium deposition over the surface. So here we have a chromic acid solution with sulfuric acid in this, and here we have the formation of the chromium oxide. So the one is working as anode, which is the antinomial lead, and here we have the cathode. So the chromium just started to deposit over the surface of that electrode. In this way, the chromium will make a hard deposition over their surface, and it get protect the other from being corroded. So the electrolyte that we use in the electroplating of the chromium, it is basically chromium sulfate, that can be written as Cr2 SO4 whole thrice. And when we have its aqueous solution, it get ionized and make its ions as chromium 3 positive and sulfate minus 2. So these ions are present in the electrolyte. When the electricity or the reaction starts, the movement of the electrons will be started at anode, and at anode the process that takes place, it is basically the hydroxide ions, they will lose electrons and make the water molecule oxygen and the 4 electrons. Now the process at cathode that takes place, it is very simple. The chromium ions will move towards that end and they gains the electrons and changes into the chromium as solid deposit over the surface of the other metal. So this is the simple chromium electroplating. After this we have the copper electroplating. This electroplating is also used to prevent from the corrosion and for the visual appeals. In this process we have the cathode and the anode. Anode is having positive charge and the cathode is having negative charge. So the copper that is on the electrode, it comes in the solution in the form of Cu positive 2 by losing electrons. So at anode, the reaction that takes place, it is the copper present in the solid. It comes in the solution by losing 2 electrons as Cu positive 2 and plus 2 electrons. Now the next step is at cathode, where the electrons move from anode to cathode and they just reach up at the cathode. Now the solution copper that present in the solution as Cu positive 2, it gains these 2 electrons and makes the copper as a metal solid deposit over the surface of the other metals, and the impurities of the anode they may be started to settle at the bottom of the beaker. So this was the simple process of the copper electroplating. This is basically used to prevent the metals from the process of the corrosion or the rusting. On the other hand, in this way we can also gain the metal in the pure form, or the impurities can also be removed. But here we are just having the simple electroplating process. So this was all about today's lecture. I hope you guys understand. And if you have any queries, you may ask me about that in the comment section. And in the next topic, we will discuss the electrolytic refining of copper in detail. For that time, you guys keep learning and have a good day.